Okay, so this video, like, subscribe and hit that notification button, is about Jason Alexander. Last week at Britney Spears' wedding on her property in the Valley, storming in and saying he's crashing the wedding and saying, this bullshit wedding, and he's trying to find the family and he can't find the family, and then he basically gets kind of tackled and brought out. Police are called and he's arrested. He already had a warrant for his arrest for stealing a bracelet of a woman he stayed with a very short period of time. He was staying with this woman, I guess renting a place with her, and then her bracelet went missing, and he said he didn't take it, but then he admitted taking it to her, so I guess he must have regretted taking it and lying, and then she had him arrested. There's no doubt that Jason Alexander has been dealing with a lot of mental health issues. He appears to be under the influence sometimes, in his videos. He was somehow implicated in the Capitol, storming of the Capitol. I'll show you a picture. To add to his problems, he also got a DUI in January of 2021 in Nashville. So that happened. So the results are really bad for him after this little stunt. He got $100,000 bail. He got stalking, a felony charge of stalking. He got 3 misdemeanors for trespassing and refusing to leave private property and vandalism. The judge made him turn in all firearms and also put an electronic monitoring device on him. He also won't be allowed to do any drugs, and he won't be able to abuse alcohol either. He's not supposed to. Sam did not file a restraining order against Jason, but Britney Spears did, and so did her security team. They filed a restraining order against him. And he is not allowed to communicate with her security team or her. So no contact with these people. Britney usually has most of her contact come through her security or her assistant. It's pretty clear to me that Jason has been a part of the Free Britney movement. And by that, I mean not only, showing his support by going to some of the rallies, but also by, reiterating some of the research that the Free Britney people have done on how corrupt the conservatorship was, and Lou Taylor, and what Lou Taylor did to Britney Spears. Now, I had to do this video. I know you guys are wondering why I did this video. I had to do this video because I know 2 things that I need to share with you. He does these really crazy things like show up at Britney Spears' old house or go to Britney's mom's house at night, or, post rhetoric on his Instagram. He's always taking a viewpoint almost like a Free Britney fan, okay? Like he's uncovering the truth, or he's, on behalf of the Free Britney people. That's what he's sort of in that corner of that there's this stuff is not what it seems in Britney Spears' world. And that really, if you know a lot about Britney Spears, which I've done many deep dives on Britney Spears in the Patreon, I know what he's talking about. Sometimes he alludes to things in his videos, and I'm like, I know what he's talking about. So I want you guys to know that first, okay? There's a podcast called Toxic, the Britney Spears story, and they had Jason Alexander on it in 2020. He was staying at the Los Angeles Biltmore Hotel. He talks about something in this podcast that I think is the reason that he is still not over Britney Spears. And then I'm going to tell you why I think he stormed her house, because I have my own thoughts on that. So they ask him, how old were you when you first fell in love with Britney Spears, okay, or each other?
You seen the pictures. I don't know, it was like kindergarten.
In one of the photos, a group of kids around 5 years old are standing in front of a school bus. Britney and Jason's kindergarten class. The 2 of them stand right in the center. They're smiling, squinting, but it's not that fake camera smile kids can give sometimes. It's like we've caught them in the middle of a giggle. They're holding hands.
Jason and Brittany stayed friends through elementary school, middle school, and Brittany's teen stardom. Jason watched it all happen from back home in Kentwood.
It's weird when you're young like that because you don't really know. I mean, I guess you know what love is, but it's just a feeling. It's like a butterfly feeling and just like this obsession with this person. But when you get older, you get closer, and it was always there. We were like boyfriend, girlfriend, but we always, when any opportunity she was home in Kentwood, we seemed like we always would link up.
What was it like watching her get as famous as she got?
Just like someone made it, so it was hopeful for the rest of us, As a football player, I'm like, wow, one of us got out of Kentwood. This is possible. I don't know, we were just talking about the trip and the future.
This is them in
she wanted
Vegas.
me to come on tour with her. And I was like, I can't. I would love to
5
come
in
on
the
tour
morning.
with you, but I got to go back. And I have my senior year of football. I earned a scholarship. I'm not going to just walk away. And that was when she was like, well, I got something I got to ask you. And I'm like, what's that? And then she pretty much asked me if I would get married.
Honestly, I really wanted to see what it was like to be married.
Here's Brittany on Entertainment Tonight, her first interview following the surprise marriage, just a few weeks after it had happened.
Maybe that sounds silly, but in that moment, I was just I was with a friend that I love dearly, and I wanted to do something wild and crazy, and I wanted to get married.
Brittany and Jason were partying, reminiscing, planning.
It's like
Jason
5 in
was
the
like-
morning. They're in Vegas. Britney Spears is 22. She's flown all of her friends out on a private jet to the Palms Hotel to celebrate. And he and her end the evening together, and they're talking like old friends do, and they're reminiscing. And I think they were dreaming that maybe they could be together, but it was like against all odds. So they thought maybe if they got married, it could happen. Because Britney was going on tour and she wanted him to come.
We felt like this was a way that would bond us together regardless of how far or separated we were. We're married. You can't not let us, reunite.
And so, with that wholesome notion in mind, Brittany and Jason headed outside to Flamingo Road.
We just left on our own accountants and didn't tell anybody. So we were like, look, we need a limousine. We're trying to go to a chapel. So they got us a car. We went to a little white wedding chapel. The limousine driver walked her down the aisle, and we did the whole thing. There was another couple getting married that morning, so they recognized her, and we took a picture. Later, I found out that couple got paid like $100,000 for that picture. So I was like, what a great wedding gift for them.
That's
It
nice.
is
So they consummate the marriage. Well, I'll let him tell you where they consummate the marriage.
Limousine on the way back to the hotel. And then when we got back to the hotel, like, hey, guess what? We're married, and everybody fucking freaked out. And no one was happy, and I was like, oh shit, this is about to get interesting.
Okay, so this is the important part. The mom was called and Jamie was called, okay, when they found out they had gotten married. Because remember, Britney's a brand.
I was on the phone, and they're telling me everything horrible I'd ever done is going to be, brought up, and that all these bad things were going to happen, and that my football career was going to be over. Then I'm like, what are you talking about? But they were just like throwing all this negative, comments about how my life was just, I was going to ruin Britney's career.
At this point, Britney's career was something a lot of people were interested in protecting. She was a brand. Sexy, but safe. Sure, she'd kissed Madonna on stage the year before, but that move had been carefully orchestrated. A quickie Vegas wedding had not been part of the plan. But the newlyweds were determined.
We were going to fly to Ibiza and go on a honeymoon.
Jason started to panic.
And I'm like, your mom said she's coming. I'm like, I'm scared to death now, I'm like, I don't think we should run away like that,
Britney wanted to go to Ibiza.
My dumb ass, talked her into staying. And then I was like, swarmed by Britney Corporation, like Men in Black showed up within hours and had Britney and I separated. They brought her in another room and left me in another room.
Here come the men in black.
When she came back into the room a couple hours later, an hour later, whatever it was, I knew, I could tell right when she walked in the room, her face, I knew that they talked her into something. But they were making promises to me. You know, they told me if I would sign the contracts, the annulment, that they would let me and Britney continue our relationship. And if we felt the same way in 6 months, they would give us a proper marriage. So I had no reason to believe otherwise. I thought that's what the truth was.
This is where our minds were really blown. Everyone always talks about this whirlwind union between Britney and Jason as a flash in the pan or a stunt. But according to Jason, the desire to stay married was real.
And they lined all the papers out in front of us, and we both just sat there quiet and signed. And then it was just like nothing happened. We literally, it was kind of over with. We were all in the hotel room. It was just kind of awkward moment, and we went to dinner. Everyone went to dinner. The brother, the mom, me, Britney, everyone that was on the trip together, the family. And at dinner, they brought me flight reservations to leave, and I left the table, and they brought me to the airport and dropped me off.
It's like the mob.
Jason was on his way back to Kentwood before the waiter had even dropped the check on the table.
They sent me home in a taxi and left me in New Orleans without a ride when I got there. So I had to call my dad, wake him up. He had to wait an hour and a half for him to drive to the airport, pick me up from the airport, bring me home to, pretty much a yard full of reporters. That's when it hit me like, oh, fuck.
He found a lawyer who explained that if he wanted to stay with Britney, he could contest the annulment. But Jason only had 30 days to do it.
They were allowing Britney and I to still have phone communication. So we were talking every day. And I still believed the story that I was told, that they were going to let us continue to talk, and then we would have this marriage right in the future if we felt the same way.
The lawyer helping Jason warned him not to trust Britney's team. If he didn't contest the annulment, it would stick.
They told me, they were like, look, what they're doing is they're tagging you along for 30 days, and then they're gonna cut that contact off, and you're never gonna see Britney again. And I'm like, nah, I didn't believe them. And so I decided not to follow through with the contesting the annulment. And so like literally the next day after like the 30, and it was like bomb, bomb, bomb. I'm like, fuck, they got me, you motherfuckers. So that was it.
So that was it. The Britney Corporation had won. Britney and Jason were done.
They
We
changed
got a
their
look
number without...
at the annulment paperwork. Here's what it says. Plaintiff Spears lacked understanding of her action to the extent that she was incapable of agreeing to the marriage. There it is. The idea that Britney was incapable of being trusted with her own decisions. It's eerie seeing it written out like this in 2004, years before her conservatorship was put in place.
Here she is talking about her decision with Matt Lauer.
I was on the road for a while, and again, I was doing a lot of what I was told instead of what I wanted to really do, and I didn't know how to break out of that. So in my young mind, I'm like, I'm going to just get married to one of my home friends.
This interview was 2 years after the wedding, in 2006, and Britney stuck to her guns.
But I have no regrets with anything.
Yes. Wow. That's something. Well, he's had other problems, it turns out. I learned in this, actually, that in 2015, he also had another domestic violence thing with some other girl that he got a restraining order. So, I mean, the kid's got issues. There's no question about it. But obviously, you can get from that he feels that he was denied a real opportunity with Britney Spears. And that's what I guess I wanted to get across in this video, so you guys could really understand where this all comes from. And this is a guy who's known her since he was a little, they were little together. So he doesn't really have a sophisticated understanding, I don't think, of the corporation of Britney Spears. And then, of course, him being obviously open to conspiracy theories and all this, showing up at the Capitol insurrection, he didn't go in, he didn't breach any of the parameter, but he was present. That's what he said. It makes him open or susceptible to, maybe extremist theories in regards to Britney Spears. And, let's face it, if, after everything that came out in the Free Britney movement, it's understandable, right? Because it's pretty sinister shit that it's hard to believe happened. So I wanted to say that, but something struck me as he was running through Britney Spears' house with the wedding. And I wanted you to, first of all, watch it. It's in my YouTube channel feed, the raw video. So just go watch that when you get a second. I could have put it in here, but it's repetitive to my channel. So go below and you can see it. I'll put a link in the description too. Something really struck me. He said this bullshit wedding. And you guys may not be aware of it because this is really like hardcore Britney Spears kind of deep dive rabbit hole stuff.
Lou Taylor, Sam Asghari, all of his sisters, everyone in his family, Kate Hudson, Larry Rudolph, Brian Spears, Jamie Lynn Spears, Lynn Spears, Jamie Spears, everybody that's been associated with Britney in the last 20 years. Even me. Let's do an investigation on me also. I think we look into what I've been learning about C Corps and S Corps and LLCs and umbrella corporations and how you're able to basically pump and dump. And if you want to know how it's legal if you do it properly, but pump and dump's not legal. And if you are washing money like from drugs or any kind of type of money you're making illegally and you're putting it into an LLC and washing that money and then dumping it and showing losses, who's got an LLC connected to Britney that's been successful in the last 15 years? Let's look into that. And this audit, though. Let's check their receipts. Let's see if it's legit, and then we'll know where the money's at. Follow the money, get answers. That's all I got to say.
Anyway, there's two rumors about how Sam Asghari and Britney Spears met. One is that he was hired as a chef and worked for Britney Spears in that capacity where he was on the conservatorship salary, and they fell in love as when he worked for her. And then there's another rumor that's more mainstream, which is that he used to be a football player and he got very heavy, and then he learned how to cook and work out, and he lost a ton of weight and became a model. And during a music video, he met Britney Spears and they fell for each other and they started dating that way. So I don't know which is true. Maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe they met on the music video and he became her chef because he was so in shape and health conscious. And Britney Spears was struggling for a really long time with being healthy and taking on healthy habits. So, there were court documents that were circulating showing that he was making a salary of $500 a day as a chef, but those turned out to be fake. And allegedly someone from the Free Britney movement made them to try to show that, Sam Asghari was definitely working for the conservatorship. He signed a prenuptial agreement. He does not get any of her earnings, any of her past earnings, only future earnings they share. And so I guess we'll have to see what happens. I suppose if she doesn't work or do any more concerts for a while, I'll tend to believe this is real. But if she suddenly starts touring again, I'll start to question it a little. I do think her attorney Rosengard is good. He does seem to be protecting her best interest. But, the Spears family's power and reach is far and is not always in plain sight. It's buried, and sinister. And so I don't know, I still question everything to do with Britney Spears.
Not only is my boyfriend really hot, he's probably like the best chef in the world, and he's showing off right now. Just check this out.
Probably. Believe it or not, guys, I was actually a cook back in high school. That was my job. I used to cook almost 300 meals a day. A lot of it was steak.
Wow.
So that's why I love steak. If you guys watch the Geography channel, I watch it all the time. The female lion inspires the male lion all the time. The female lion, I give props to you. There's more female in the audience than male. I give props to you guys. Absolutely. And I have 3 sisters, so they inspired me throughout. I was raised by women, and I think you guys are amazing. So that's where that came from. Lioness is a strong, strong animal, and yeah, that's it.
So there is a camp of people that believe that Sam, because of the way he was hired, could be another one of these wranglers, and in a way is keeping Britney Spears in a conservatorship without her knowledge, because she doesn't know that he actually has some connection to Jamie Spears and the Britney Spears overall corporate brand. And it's extreme, and I hope it's not true, because I want her to find her happiness. But you can't deny that there is some weird things. Like, for example, when Britney Spears was in her conservatorship, Sam Asghari went on social media and said that Jamie Spears was a dick. Now, Jamie Spears has blocked every man ever that has ever attacked him personally out of Britney Spears' life, because he could, using the conservatorship, because he's allowed her to, with the support of other conservators, control who was in her realm, depending on the time period. And so it was strange to me, not the world, just me, that Jamie Spears seemed to retaliate not at all when Sam did that. It almost was like the wave of Free Britney was too strong, and it was almost like if Sam Asghari wasn't saying that, and wasn't, that it would look like Sam Asghari might be working for the wrong team. And I just, with the sinister stuff that I've come to learn about the Britney Spears conservatorship, it felt like maybe they intentionally let Sam call Jamie a dick on purpose to make him seem like he was against the conservatorship. Because at this moment in time, there was no support for it whatsoever. So I just think that as much as I want to believe Sam is the real deal and true love, and they've been going out since 2016, there's a part of me, a little voice, that just questions it. But I guess we'll know soon enough, because now they're legally married. So we'll have to see what happens now. Let's hope nothing. Let's hope nothing. Let me know what you think. Do you think Sam is the real deal, or do you question it a little bit like me? And I do only question it a little bit, not like a huge bit, okay? Just saying. Subscribe and hit the notification button, and let me know what you think.